Hey guys, it's time. It's time. I've got all my stuff, I think, right here. I've got a big mess here, and I'm ready to get going if you guys are. We got a lot to do, and I need you here. There's my girl Kelly. Hi, Kelly. And Deborah's here. Yay, Deborah. Joanne, come on in, girls. And there's Kimberly. We're going to do this. Are you ready for this? I got all my things. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Letha. Hi, guys. I'm excited. I'm trying to be organized. I've got everything all here. Willa Dean, Deb. Hello. I know you're ready, Deborah. Trisha's in the house. Come on, girls. Hello, Joanne. I got a big mess on my desk. Hi, Doris and Trisha. Sheila's here. Yay. There's Vanessa and Cassie. All my girls. Everybody's lining them all up. Yes, you are, Dean. I see you. Okay. We've got some things to do. Now, understand, listen, you guys, you have the full capability of getting tonight's. If I were you, I would go ahead and get tonight's as well. Only because this is the thing that you need to look at. Cindy Lou Who is here. There's Lisa. So here's the thing you need to look at is because this is we are doing this with a small group. We are also, I'm not going to be able to share my slides with you. Okay, but don't worry about it because this is a small group. We're going to be going through this really hands-on. There's Chris and Sheila. Yay. Judy Lynn, I see you. Anyway, so we're going to go through this piece by piece. I want you to be taking notes. I want you to have your PDFs in front of you. And I hope you've done some of your homework so that you know exactly how to go. But don't worry about it. We're going to break it down, okay? And you'll probably have questions. And this is why, if you haven't done it for tonight, I want you to, Danita and Cynthia, Diane, I see you guys. If you haven't signed up for tonight, you don't have to attend. I just want you to sign up so it'll automatically be sent to you. It will help you with what we're doing today. Because what we're doing today is we're getting in the weeds, girls. We're going to go get down on it. Tonight it will be a little bit different. You're getting basically the same information, but you're not going to be seeing my slides, okay? Which is fine. We're still doing it. All right. So, I'm just going to pull them up right now so we can get started. Okay. So first thing is this is the Take Back Your Life workshop, and it's a workshop for women desiring real change. Yay! Pretty exciting. I love this stuff. And I shared this today. If you saw my Facebook Live on Saving Dinner, I was talking about unforgiveness today. And I think it's a big obstacle that we all have. And I used this quote: "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek." And a lot of times we get fearful and scared about whatever. And I just want to break this all down and say that, our fear oftentimes has a name to it. Our fears are oftentimes connected to stuff that we haven't quite figured out what they are. We just know that there's something there. And I'm just inviting you to break it down because fear doesn't need to hold us back anymore. We don't need to be those women who are held back by fear. We just need to understand exactly what it is that's going on with ourselves. And, sometimes that takes a little doing. And that's my invitation to you, is just allow the doing to happen, okay? And I just took the comments back. I'm going to come back because you are going to have comments, okay? And I'll bring the comments back. But I just want to we have some basic things to set up. So I hope you're taking notes. So remember that fear is the opposite of love. It's not hate is the opposite of love. It's fear, because fear holds us back. Fear is the prisoner maker. And we no longer need to be those people anymore. We can walk away from that, and we can stand very powerfully in who we are and who we belong to. Let's remember that too. We are women of faith. So before we start, if you've got your list, okay, and checking it twice, just like Santa, I want to make sure that you've cast your vision. So you have that homework assignment was to cast a vision for yourself. What do you want your 2020 to look like? What do you want to look like? What do you want? What kind of relationships do you want? What do you want to be doing in your business or in your careers? Spiritually, where do you want to be? So you should have all of these pages printed off, the PDF. So in particular, you want your morning and evening rituals printed off in the PDF. And remember, these are things that we can go back to and fix at any point. And I'm going to show you something. This is one of my favorite things. I don't know what the heck I have on my glasses. They get so dirty. One of the things that I do is I buy these packages of pencils. You can see them. These big pencils like little kids would use because they're like a triangle and a big old eraser. It's a drafting pencil, but it's just bigger. I just like them. And those are the pencils that I use, and I want to be able to erase things. So I write everything in pencil, just about. Everything is in pencil. So just an idea for you if you want to. So you should have the morning and evening ritual pages printed out. You should also have the 2 goals per category and then 1 daily page. We're going to use the daily page as sort of your template for how we're going to break all of this stuff down. So make sure you've got everything in front of you because this is a workshop. We're hands-on doing this, you guys. Yay! So a better life demands a better plan. And it goes without saying, and I know you guys have done this before, that you want to up-level your life. I mean, this is one of the reasons why you're in the Hot Milk Club, right? It's not just about, getting those few pounds off or whatever and getting into a different pair of jeans, but you want the whole Megillah. I hope so. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. I want every aspect of my life to be leveled up. And that's what we're doing here. This is why this all happens. And it all goes hand in hand. There is a synchronicity here. We cannot divorce one thing from the other. Our lives are our bodies, are our minds, are our souls. Everything works together. So maybe you've tried goal setting before and it just wasn't that effective. Maybe you had New Year's resolutions and you forgot about them the next week. Most people do. Or maybe you've just been plain overwhelmed and you're thinking, I don't know, I don't even know what to do here. That's okay too. And we will bring some of that down. And I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, I'm less than because I haven't been able to figure this out. This will be part of the Q&A part and we can start putting some stuff in. I've got ideas for you. So have no fear about that. Okay. We're here to do this today. So, anyway, let me get to this whole place. The problem with goals, and then this is the problem with goals, and this is one of the reasons why they don't work out. So we have the idea that, goals are negative. You've even heard Marla say that. She says, I don't like the word goal. I'd rather use the word vision. Fine, whatever word you want to use. Goals can have a negative connotation. I'm not going to lie to you about that. And we've all met somebody, and at least I know I have in just, all the work that I've done and the conferences that I've been to for business development and what have you. And you meet somebody and the very idea of having goals means you're going to be like this creepy guy over here who's like big, slick, greasy, slippery as an eel salesman. And he's all about the goals and the personal development and this, that, and the other thing. And it doesn't ring true to where you are in your life. And you're thinking, I don't want to have anything to do with that. So I understand that, but we need to be looking at goals with different eyes because this is the thing. It's a declaration of what it is that you want in your life or what it is that you want to achieve. That's all a goal is. It's looking, think about it this way. Think about, if you've ever watched your kids play soccer, what is the goal? The goal is to get the ball down the field and into the net. That's exactly what we're doing with our lives. And we do that, again, we are synergistic beings. We are part of all of them. We can't just take one thing out and say, all I'm going to do is just, get into those size 6 jeans again, by gum. That's it. We have to take the rest of our lives with us because, that vehicle, that vehicle requires different things. It requires gas, it requires maintenance under the hood, it requires somebody to drive it. It requires a lot of different things, and that's just exactly who we are. We are synergistic beings. We are heart, bodies, and souls, and that's how we need to address this. And then our lives will sing for us. This is how we create the vibrant lives that we all want. So, on one hand, yes, goals can be overwhelmingly hard to achieve. And sometimes you don't know what you want, but you do know what you don't want. And so we can work from that and just kind of flip it onto the other side. And sometimes you feel purposeless, like there's no rudder or there's no rhyme or reason to your life. And I understand that too. But again, if we can start with something, we can create something from that. And remember too, it is not going to ever be about perfection. It's going to be about excellence and doing the best that we can with what we have for the moment. We can always change it up. This is why we like pencils. Pencils are my friend. So the real problem isn't goals, okay? The real problem is the overwhelm of this whole goal thing and doing it over the course of a year and, having these massive goals that are just overwhelming. So we have to bring it into a shorter time period. And this is why we do 90-day goals. And that doesn't mean that we're discarding the rest of the year, or that if we have a goal that doesn't fit into the 90-day time frame, that we're not going to do it. It just means we're going to chunk it. And then the next 90 days, we're going to add to that. So if you have a goal of, say, losing 100 pounds, that doesn't mean that you can't do it. What did I do with my drink? I lost my little drinky. All right, well, we'll have to go with this. What does that mean? That means that we're going to take, for this 90 days, we're going to lose this much weight. And then the next 90 days, we're going to lose that much weight. We're not going to lose 100 pounds in 90 days. That's ridiculous. Most people can't do that. I wouldn't advise it. I certainly like a glass a whole lot better. I don't know what the heck I did with that thing. I think I took it downstairs. Oh, well. Anyway, goals help to create the healthy habits, healthy being our mind, body, and soul, that we all want. That's all it does. It puts it into the peripheral of where we are. So we also have to create goals with deadlines. Otherwise, we're not going to get it done. It's just, think of it this way. It's having a goal without a deadline is being pregnant without having a due date. I mean, who wants to walk around pregnant all the time, right? We're ready for that baby to come out. And that's how it is with goals too. At some point, this baby needs to get born. All right. So that's how we're looking at them. So we don't want to be drifting. We don't want to be just, all over the place. We want to bring this into the front and center of what it is that we're doing. So when we understand that goals are the end result of good habits and they connect us into new programming of our subconscious, this is a biggie, and underlined subconscious, because we're going to be talking about this, it's our unconscious minds. But you can't create good goals. You can't create goals without the good habits to take them to the end zone. You have to have your vision, of course, to start with. And then from that vision, you have to break it down to, well, what does that look like if I were to write these out in goals? And from there, you have to break it down into habits. And that's where your morning and ritual and evening routine, you can kind of see how this is all going, right? You can see how it starts here and gets chunked down and narrowed into our to-do list. It's fantastic. You'll see this in a minute. And we're going to be actually doing this. So you cannot create good habits without having a vision of what you want those habits to create. And goals need to be carefully formed in a way that they can be incorporated into those habits so that your vision can come to fruition. That's it. And we need to work with our subconscious. This is a big missing piece. I'm telling you, this is like half the edge pieces on that puzzle that I was talking about yesterday and today on my show. When you are working with your subconscious, you're starting to understand exactly what's going on, because you know how we always speak to ourselves, right? We always have this conversation going. So Bruce Lipton, and he's a doctor, he's an MD, and he wrote one of the best books I've ever read. It's called The Biology of Belief. And And I will tell you, let me just cut to the chase on that book. The whole book, he goes through and he's giving all these case studies and talking about how people's beliefs changed their health outcomes, changed all this, that, and the other thing. But, you know, at the very end of it, the thing that was the big takeaway for me was that this is what he says: the function of the mind is to create coherence between your programs. So that's your subconscious and your reality. So what we're doing is, you know how I always say this, like we look in the contrast and we create bridges between things. This is exactly what this is. Reality is here and our subconscious is here, and we need to connect the two. Because what happens is this is where the big pushback comes, and this is why so many times goals don't get created, right? Or they fall so short. Is in our minds we're thinking, yeah, we're all about it. It's New Year's and we're going to make these resolutions. We're going to lose this weight. We're going to be this way and eat healthy and do all these things. And we write them all out. We're really excited about it. So the reality is, though, in the back of our mind, in our subconscious, where we live 95% of the time, we're saying, that's too hard. Ooh, I won't eat green stuff. I don't like that. Or, you know, I'm just going to sit on the couch. Well, maybe tomorrow I'll start on that exercise program. And there it goes. The whole thing falls apart. But what we need to do is understand that because 95% of what we're doing is on autopilot, and I even guarantee you, driving a car is on autopilot. Have you ever gotten in the car and driven somewhere and then you just like, oh my, I don't even remember driving the car. You barely remember getting in there, but your mind has been going, but you safely navigated your way from your home to your destination, and you just did it. Automatic pilot. That's our operating system. Our operating system is in our subconscious, and we are unconsciously talking to ourselves, having conversations with ourselves, having these thought patterns, and it's all a setup. And it's a setup from when we were kids. You know, we have belief systems that are created from when we were kids that don't necessarily, you know, have any kind of meaning in our lives anymore, maybe, but they still probably influence us. And this is why I'm saying the subconscious needs to come up front, and we need to start recognizing this. And we have some tricks on that, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. So we need to remember that if it's only 5% of what we're aware of, then we need to start bringing that subconscious forward. That's it. And I'm going to show you that there's a way to connect those things with, we're going to talk about brain waves of all things. So our behavior is coherent with our beliefs, which operates mostly subconsciously. That's why we have a hard time with things. So how do we connect to the subconscious and make real lasting change? This is where it comes in. The answer is, of course, that connection. So our belief system needs to change if we're to have a fighting chance. That's all. And I'm not talking about your entire belief system, the beliefs that no longer fit. So remember when we talked about the thing about, are you powerful or are you pitiful? And the epiphanies that you had coming to this place of understanding that yes, you can do this, or yes, you can do that. And the epiphanies that you have had in your life where you've actually made that change, that switch, you flipped the switch. You had a minute where that belief system changed. You no longer believed you were powerless. You understood that you had power within. You understood, just like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, you had the power to go back home all along. You didn't have to go through that. All you had to do was click your little heels and say, there's no place like home, and boom, you'd be back. That is what we need to be looking at. That is what we need to be looking at, because our beliefs drive our thoughts, and our thoughts drive our behaviors. And if our thoughts and behaviors are incongruent, we get nowhere. And our behavior shows up as things that we don't want, right? Our thoughts and beliefs show up in behaviors. So our behavior is never going to change until we get the congruency between our thoughts and our beliefs. So lasting change, true change, is driven by changing your subconscious mind. And that's what we're going to do right now today. And let me just say this. Please be patient with yourself. You are a work in progress. And you are coming to a place where most people are not. Most people don't sit in this place right now of understanding that 95% of what they're doing, what they think about, and everything is driven by their subconscious. They don't even know that. You do. And now we have the opportunity to change that. And most people aren't in the place of understanding that their belief system is driving their behavior. And now that you do, you can look and take a good, strong look at your belief system and say, you know what, that just doesn't match what it is that I want in my life. You know, we can talk about that with diet, for example. Does candy, for example, chocolate or, you know, anything, does that drive the connection to the healthy body that you want? No, it does not. What is your belief about that candy? You know, and when we can break these things down and start thinking that candy is a treat, that candy makes you feel happy or that whatever. But then we look at the other side of the coin and it makes you heavy. It makes your waist expand. It puts you on diabetic medication. It makes you feel crappy. It makes you ache all over. And then now we can start changing our beliefs. No, we flip it. And that's when we talk about the decision and the non-decision making that we make. So when we make decisions to say no to something that we know and we believe now that has held us back for all those years, we can flex that decision muscle and make that belief stronger. That is going to drive the thoughts, and those thoughts are going to become our goals, and this is how we're going to take back our lives. Bingo. I'm done. No, I'm just kidding. So this is where we go. Now, we have requirements for this, okay? There are requirements to anything. Anything that you want that's worth suffering for, that's worth working for, is going to has requirements. It's going to take some time. You cannot just go out and, you know, have an Autobahn experience on the 405 freeway in Southern California. You just can't. You know, you're going to have to obey the rules of the road. You're going to have to obey the traffic. You're going to have a vehicle that has brake lights that work, etc. There are rules, there are requirements for everything in life. So let's just remember this, and let's not think like we're somehow being victimized by having to change some things up. That's the way it is, you know. It's our privilege and our ability to be able to do this, isn't it? How exciting. What an opportunity. And that's how we need to be looking at this, not like, I got to do this. No, that's not who we are. We're women who are powerful. We are not pitiful, and we are looking at things through the lenses of what we get to do. This is a privilege. This is a privilege to be able to flip some of this old thinking on its head, get rid of it, and change it up. This is a privilege. Keep that in mind. So we start with some of the things. And these things are important. I want you to write them down. So if we're going to change our subconscious mind, we must employ conscious tactics to do so. Get it? This is great. This is the fantastic stuff. Because when we understand that we're halfway just going through the motions most of the time, and now we're suddenly putting this out front and going, well, wait a minute here. This is the conscious stuff. Then that's when stuff gets really cool. This is when things get fantastic, because we start seeing things that we never saw before or never knew about before. So it requires writing things out. Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. You know, here I am with my little pencil. That there is a study that they did, and they showed that people who, with the little, it's the finger, the pointer finger and the thumb, you know, that this holding the pencil like this, holding your pen like this, and writing things out helps to change the pathways in your brain. You know, isn't God amazing? He creates us in such a way that we can have such an impact on our own lives. And this is precisely what writing things out does. Now, yeah, I've used computers as well, but when I've written out handwriting things and I've shared my journals before, I've got stacks of journals with I am statements in them. And those I am statements have happened to me because I have retrained my brain. And this is what we're doing right now. You're going to start writing out I am statements. Then these I am statements are going to be reflective of what we're going to do as we break down our goals. We'll get there. You're going to write out your intentions as well. How you and you write intentions in a way, and I'll show you when I go through. I'm going to go through my journal a little bit, and I've written some other fake stuff. I mean, I've got some personal stuff in here that I don't want to share with everybody, but I'm going to share some of it with you and show you exactly how I've done some of this. But I want to make this real for you, and that's the biggest thing that we got to do. We've got to do. So we write out our intentions, and we also verbalize them, and we let somebody know. We talk to our body clutter buddy, and we say, my intention is that I am going to have a meditative practice every single day. Hold me to an account. This, again, can you see this? Up level. We're bringing people into our lives, and we're being accountable, and we're not settling for just a ho-hum life. We're bringing into our lives that synergy of all the things so that we can have what we want. And when we bring somebody in that we're saying we're accountable to and that we need help with, and we're doing and studying these kind of things on a daily basis, can you imagine what your 2020 is going to look like? It's going to be amazing. That's what it's going to look like. So you're also going to practice gratitude daily. Practicing gratitude daily expands your heart. It expands the empathy muscle. It makes you more appreciative. It gets rid of negativity, and it brings to mind and puts in the very forefront of your head, right up here in the frontal cortex, gratitude, thankfulness, appreciation, and just a beauty and a calmness and a connection with God your Father. It's amazing. Gratitude needs to be first. And so that's part of it. And meditation and prayer. And, I'm not going to tell you how to worship. I'm not going to tell me how to. I know how I worship, and I know how I believe. And believe me, I've run the gamut on all of that. But I do know this. Meditation is bringing yourself center and is lining your soul up with God. And you don't even have to be speaking at all. You're lining yourself up. Prayer is when you are speaking to God. And Jesus meditated. Everyone has meditated. Meditation isn't an ooga booga thing, and it's not something, don't want to do that. Don't be like that. Expand the borders of your mind and understand what meditation is. And if you don't believe me about meditation, go into the Bible and take a look-see. Jesus was a meditator. And we all need to be meditators, because meditation brings us back to our center, brings us back to our souls, and lines ourselves up spiritually with God. That's one, and with no words spoken. That's the divine supernatural part of the whole thing. And then prayer is a communication device. And that's part of our spirituality and part of who we are and part of how we line ourselves up. So then there is the mindfulness of your consciousness, of your subconsciousness that we don't talk about, which is alpha, beta, theta, and delta brainwaves. Write them all down. There's 4 of them. Alpha, beta, theta, and delta. And we'll break them all down here in just a minute. But I want you to write those down, because that is our brain hacks. We're going to talk about those. So creating goals that are supported with these tactics and practice daily are what makes the difference. So let's know our brain waves, okay? We're going to start with the brain waves. We'll start when we understand how our brains work and that brain waves are associated with each state. We can capitalize on them, and we can understand what they are. I'm going to tell you, give you an example of exactly what I'm doing as I started to learn more about brainwaves, how it changed my whole meditative practice. And I'm going to share that with you in just a sec. So knowledge of these brainwaves enhances your ability to use each to its fullest potential, and it puts your efforts on steroids. And this is cool stuff. So first of all, you've heard the right brain, left brain thing. Have you ever really thought about where you think from? Have you done that? I know that I am primarily right brain. This is a creative place. It's also the feminine side of the brain. And then there's the left side of the brain. And if you'll know, if you look at a brain, you'll see there's a big line down the middle, and there's 2 halves of the brain. It's connecting them that makes the difference. And you can do this with your brainwave hacks. And we're talking about that now. So the alpha side of the brain is the right brain, and it's also known as the feminine part of the brain. And it's calm, thoughts flow easily. It's a resting brain, is what they'll say. It's less aggressive than, say, the beta brain, which we'll talk about in a sec, but it's still fully alert. And it's reflective. It will think about a task that needs to be done or a task that just got finished. It's your to-do list. Have you noticed that one? You know, where you're just like calculating in your head, all your to-dos of things to do. But this is also the place of creativity. It's the place of daydreams, and it's the place of imagination. And you know how one of my favorite things to think about, and I want you to write this down, is just imagine. Can you imagine? Imagine if, because that makes your brain just kind of tingle, doesn't it? And it makes all the little sparks fly. And it makes you start to see things and make a vivid picture of what your life could be like. Just imagine. I mean, that's what I did to get in those size 6 jeans. You know, a few years ago when I was just imagine, what would it be like to be, you know, when's the last time I wore a pair of size 6 jeans? So yeah, and right now I'm at a 10, so I'm working on those, you know, get back in those things. But again, it's just imagine. I want you to write that down because that is such a delicious little piece of information for your brain. Now the left brain is the male brain, and it's the beta state. And this one it's fully awake, it's logic seeking, it's your critical reasoning, it is alert, attentive, and it is your problem solving part of the brain. This is where somebody, like one of your children come to you and say, well, Mom, how do I do this? Or, you know, this is your math side of the brain. So your creative side, your right brain is more like your English part of the brain, and then the science math part is on your left side of the brain. And you can, if you really think about it, you can feel what part of the brain you're using. Like right now, I can feel this is the part of the brain that I'm using. I'm using my right side of the brain. And when I speak, and when I speak in public and have done speeches before, I am fully aware that the right side of my brain is hot. That this is where it is. When I go on every day at 1:00, it's the right side of my brain that's blazing. And I have notes sometimes, and sometimes I don't have notes and just blah, 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 whatever. But I will tell you that when you are connecting right side and left side, you can do that with the tactics that we're going to talk about. And this is where the magic is. And this is where things start to turn over quickly. And you start to dispense of the stuff that's held you back for so long, because now you're really aware of it. And it's also where you start adding in all the good stuff. So this is fun stuff. So yes, this is the fast acting part of our brain, so you might have science and what have you on the left side of your brain, and you might have all the creativity and the word flow and everything. And as I'm writing, I'm a writer. I write books. I was a freelance writer before I started doing this. This is where all that creativity is on that side of the brain. But we have to be in context with both sides of the brains, and this is the bridge that we're going to build. Let's see. There's the theta state. Okay, the theta state is that state of barely being conscious. The theta state is what it is what you have when you are just going to sleep. You're in this kind of weird limbo place of not being fully awake and not being fully asleep either. Just kind of you're on your way over into sleep. And it's also what you experience as you're waking up. So the theta state is a place, though, of profound and deep learning. Profound and deep learning. And you're not even fully awake. Isn't that an interesting thing? So healing and growth is what happens when you're in the theta state. So you know how I've spoken before about going to sleep at night, and I have certain supplements that I take at night because I want my body to use these as more raw materials to help create the healing that I need and the growth that I need in my body. Well, this is the same. This is when it happens. This is the healing time. It's free flowing, it's positive, and it's easy to engage in. And this is what I would call It's also something that is the multitasker, because there's another theta state. Remember how we were just talking about driving a car? And this is when you're driving a car and having a conversation at the same time with somebody, maybe, sitting in the car and you've got a cup of coffee and you're going all the way. Well, you're driving in theta and you're having an active conversation otherwise. So there's all kinds of things that our brains are able to do at one time. And then there's the delta state. And the delta state is sleep. And it's slower. And this is where we dream. And this is where we can plant a seed to grow as far as our goals, our growth, and whatever it is that we're trying to do. And this is also in the Take Back Your Life journal, when you have in the evening, after your evening ritual, you've got your path correction, new lessons, and do better. Well, that's something that you can kind of be thinking about as you go to bed. And that was going to help you to get up another layer of excellence in your life. So the having this awareness is going to help us to do all of this. So those brain waves really are our brain hacks. And so we can work with our brains with understanding. We can best utilize our thinking and reasoning powers. So I was telling you about one of the things that I've started to do, and it's just made a big difference, is I've taken my headset, not this one. Yes, this one. Headset with me to bed at night. And when I wake up in the morning and I'm just starting to come awake and I'm definitely in theta, my headset is already plugged in, and on my phone, I use my app has the meditation in it, and I do my meditation now laying down in bed. Now, they say, you can do, there's a lot of different ways to do meditation, but you can do it laying down, you can do it sitting up, and you can do it walking, for heaven's sakes. But the point that is, I am trying to capitalize on this theta state so that I can have a little bit more influence. Because if this is a place of profound learning and a place of profound growth, then why not meditate at that time? Why not take 15 minutes and plug in and allow this meditation practice to take hold? This is what I've been doing lately. And my meditation, I can't even tell you what a calming, centering thing that has been. It has been so much better, and I am way less. The problem with meditation is, as you're meditating, you're thinking, okay, oh, I forgot I need onions at the store. Oh, don't forget to pick up such and such. And I've got to remember to tell Mark to fill in the blank. And oh, I've got this, that, and the other thing that I need to do for saving dinner. And that's what happens to me when I normally meditate. Now that I'm doing my meditation in theta the way I am completely present within that meditative practice. And I'm telling you, this morning, when it was done, and this is, 15 minutes is all I meditate in the morning. When it was done after 50, I was like, oh my gosh, that felt like 2 minutes. It went that quickly. But when I was done, I was awake, I was ready for my day, and the calmness and the centering that I felt was unbelievable. So see, changing something up like that and changing and working with your brain state and the brain waves, that's your brain hack. It makes a big difference. This also allows us to align our thinking with our goals and to make sure that those goals are going to show up in everything that we do. That's another thing. So the overlay of our goals with brainwaves, especially with the left and the right brain, and integrate that into daily life, is our alignment assignment, because that's what we need to use to make all of these things happen. So your homework. Remember your homework that I asked you to do? I asked you, what do you want to create for 2020? Now, I was asking for a broad picture, kind of a vivid, vision of what it is that you want. And right now, I want you to get out your 2 goals per category page, okay? The 2 goals per category page. And on that, you've got 3 sections. You've got your physical and health. That's number 1. And we're going to make 2 goals out of that. You've got your personal development, business and career. And we're going to make 2 goals out of that. And then you have your spiritual, intellectual, and emotional part, right? So you need to get that out too. So these different categories will help us to break down from that vision. We're going to take those 6 categories and we're going to create 2 goals each. So those 6 goals will be our next goals for 90 days. And I'll show you how to do that. And then we break them down even further and we take, with knowing what these goals are, we take those and create morning routines. Our rituals is what we call them, and evening rituals. Okay? Are you following me? Is it getting exciting yet? I hope so, because I think it's super cool. So in that, now I'm going to show you a little bit about, I just wrote out some stuff, like let's show you what this would look like. So let's say that on your, and I'm going to put if you have questions, you're more than welcome to put them out. I brought your questions back because this is the workshop part, because I want you to start writing it out. When I asked you about making this vision for yourself, I'm sure it had something to do with, you're wearing a pair of size 6 jeans, or you're off all medications, or you're feeling really good and you see yourself playing with grandchildren or children, or whatever it is. You have a vivid vision of what it is that you have. Now let's overlay that onto what those goals are and start breaking them down. Now, understand something. Let's say you have a big goal. Let's say you want to lose 100 pounds, for example. 100 pounds in 90 days, are you? No, you don't lose 100 pounds in 90 days. It simply doesn't work that way. What you need to do is you take that goal and you break it down and you say, okay, well then I'm going to lose like 33 and a half pounds or 34 pounds for this next 90 days. Super doable. That is a goal. And as you're using that weight goal of weight loss goal, I should say, you write it out in an I am statement. So I am losing weight easily, and I will be 34 pounds. There will be 34 pounds less of me by March 31st, 2020. That's simple. There's an I am statement for you. Now how do you get that into, and I hope you can follow me on all this and just tell me if I'm not making sense. How does this work out then? Now, what is that going to mean for you? And this is something where you can just do a brain dump on what all of that's going to look like. Well, it means that you're going to follow the sprint. Whenever we sprint, that means that you're going to be hot melt dieting, right? You're going to get that food dialed in. You're going to get your water dialed in. You're going to take your supplements at the appointed time. You're going to work into the movement. You're going to have movement in your life. And you're going to be watching and checking and making sure that every single day you're doing the right things. Now, how does that show up? That shows up in your morning routine, in your morning ritual, and your evening ritual. So if your goal is to lose 34 pounds for this first 90 days, then what we're going to be doing is looking at everything. We're going to be looking at keeping that food journal. I am keeping my food journal every single day. I am checking in with my body clutter buddy and making sure that I am staying accountable. I am fill in the blank. What is it? What are the things that you need to do? And this is where it gets personal, because I can't tell you what it is that you're going to need to do. Maybe you're going to need to go and do a pantry clean out. I don't know. Maybe you're going to need to really dial in your intermittent fasting, or just make a check mark on your hydration, or get your butt out of the door every single day and go work out. Well, if that's the case, then you need to build that into your morning routine. And in your morning routine, your evening ritual, you lay out your workout clothes, and in the morning, there they are when you wake up. And that's part of your whole thing too. You put those clothes on. You don't run or walk around in your pajamas anymore. Now you are in your workout clothes. You've got a time set in your appointment time, and that shows up again on in your planner, that at 9 a.m. you are out the door and you're doing Zumba, or at 8:45 so that you can get to the gym, or 8:30, whatever it is. But you've got an appointment with yourself, and you're going to keep this, because movement is going to be a part of your life, because you want fitness, you want health, you want to get off those medications. So your physical goal might be lose 100 pounds for the year, But for this next 90-day period for Take Back Your Life, you're going to want to take off 34 pounds. So what does that mean to you? And you write all the things down. What does that mean to me? And then how do I build this in? And you build it in. You start building it in. And you just check with yourself and see, where am I weak? Where is the weakest link on what it is that I'm trying to create here? Is it the food? Is it the hydration? Is it the movement? Is it everything? Okay, fine. Even if it is everything. So what are you going to do? One of the things that I have been doing is, and you can see in my, well, no, you can't, but I have got behind me, I've created this whole workout station. I've got a rebounder, a bouncer. I've got a pair of weights that I'm doing, and everything there so that I can get out there and do it. And I set my alarm so that I can get out there and do it. So every hour it goes off, and I'll just go bounce around on the rebounder. Then I'll walk down the hall. If it's legs day, I'll walk down the hall and I'll do it in lunges. And then I'll do my 4-minute workout. There's your squats. And, and then there's some bands that I can do to do some little side raises. So Kimberly's asking, so right now we write 2 goals for physical and health for 90 days. Yes. And my suggestion is that one of them is physical and one of them is health. So for example, if you have a physical goal of losing 100 pounds, that you write out that you're going to lose 34 for this 90-day period. And then for health, and let's just say you're on some kind of a medication you don't want to be on, that's your goal, is to get off that medication. And you can do it. You've already talked to your doctor, and your doctor's saying, well, probably if you lose, 30 pounds, you'll probably be able to get off that medication. You see how those two things go together now? It's a physical goal and it's a health goal. Health goal to get off this medication, and it's a physical goal to lose that weight. And they go hand in hand. And that's why it's critical. And then you build that in to your morning ritual and your evening ritual. Part of your morning ritual could be setting your supplements out for the day. And, physical cues help with doing all of that. So, for example, I've got my morning, I have a couple of supplements that I take on an empty stomach. And I have those set over by my coffee, where all my coffee stuff is. They're separated out from my regular supplements. My evening supplements are in my cupboard in my bathroom. And it's right by the skin stuff that I put on my face. So they're right there, so I don't miss a cue. It's right there. Now, if I had it all in the same place, I'd miss it. And then when I do my collagen shot in the morning, when I'm getting ready to do that, and by the way, go take, if you're, you can go get into the Take Back Your Life journal group. There's 2 videos of me in there, and I just can't even tell you the difference in my face from doing these collagen shots is huge. And also the beauty support. It's crazy. So it's just how these good habits just make such a difference. And so what I do then I've lost my train of thought. Anyway, so yes, you're going to do these 2 goals, but you're writing them into your plan. And you're using physical places, and you're making things work. You're setting up your environment. You're setting up your morning and your evening rituals, and you're breaking it down. You're making it work for you. And it is a very personal thing. But we can do these kind of things. I think it was Sherry Robinson in the Sprint group had a picture of, and I told everybody to go look at it because she got it. She dialed into it. And this is exactly a great example of what I said. And it's in the Sprint group. And if you go through and find Sherry, you can find her if you, there's a search thing on the side, on the very far left side. And she had a pan of brownies. And she wrote how she changed things up so that she no longer dove headfirst into those brownies. And it was a brilliant thing. And it was a great observation. And she had, like, she said her husband's snacks were sitting right next to, something that she could eat. But every time she looked at it, it was just like, there it is again. She moved it, She moved it. And by moving it, she shifted what she saw. And what you see is, what you get. So it made all the difference in the world. And I love that so much because she showed how to flex that physical muscle. How to flex that physical muscle by making it simpler for yourself, by what's in your environment, by setting it up and making it happen for yourself. Now, that's one element of this. But this is what we're doing. We're setting up our environment, we're setting up our mornings, we're setting up our evenings, and then the middles come together. And then when we treat our gym time or our exercise time and we have it written out and we're using this part of the journal, and I've got mine open up here, but we start, again, we're going to start with that gratitude, and our appointments are here. And on that appointment part, if you add in the time that you're going to exercise, then that exercise has now been added into your ritual. Maybe it's not in the morning ritual or whatever, but it is an appointment. It's an appointment with yourself to stay true to your goals. And then it becomes a habit. It's amazing how all these things work out. But does that help you? Do you understand what I'm saying about how we break these rituals down? Break these goals out. So if you were the next one would be the personal development. Now, this is one of my goals that I have, and a career goal. So my personal development goal is to read 10 books in the period in the next 90 days because I want to read more than I'm reading. And so what I'm going to do then is part of my morning ritual is going to be to sit down and read with a book for 10 minutes. And then another thing that I'm going to do is also listen to a different book, when I'm exercising. I can do that. I have Audible on there, so I can listen to a book. And this is how we learn. This is how we up-level our lives. We're looking for places to put these things into our lives. And if we can add it to our morning ritual, great. So, like, for example, I will read you my morning ritual because I think this one, I have, where is my morning ritual? Find it, Leanne. Did I write it out? You know I did. Okay. So my ritual is to get up, get dressed into workout clothes, and take my thyroid medication first thing. And then it is to meditate and pray, and then to have a green smoothie, and then to have some vinegar water and have some gratitude, write my gratitudes out in my book, right here in my Take Back Your Life book, and also have my reading time. That's when my reading time is built in. And then the other thing that I have is I write in here, this is the hardest thing that I need to do. And that's, this is how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time, but that's a work thing that I have. So if I have a big, like if I'm working on a program that I'm going to be introducing, or if I'm writing a blog post or whatever the big thing is, like right now, my big thing is the book that I'm writing. So I have some time to dedicate to writing that book. And I will tell you, the way that you write a book is you write it one chapter at a time. It's like writing one blog post at a time. So it's easy. It takes time over the period of time. It comes together, but you're adding those things in every night and then every day. And then evening, what I have, my evening ritual is to fill up my water bottles, put my workout clothes out, pack my workout bag. Now, this was when I was living, I'm not living here anymore. My workout is now upstairs. I make sure that I've got my headset so I can listen to the sleep app if I need to, because sometimes I need to because my brain is going 100 miles an hour, and to be in bed by 11 o'clock at the very latest, and usually it's 10. So those are, part of my sleep things. And then I will add things to them as I feel like it. A lot of times, if I have had trouble sleeping, I will add putting my Epsom salt bath in there and having 20 minutes of a warm bath in Epsom salts and having my headset on to a relaxation app that's on my Brain FM thing that I listen to that has my meditation stuff on it. But it's like purposely, instead of living just by default, you're purposely living and creating things that are going to create a better you. And you put them into your routines, your rituals. I call them rituals. You put them into your rituals, and then you add them in as appointments as necessary, like for the workout. So the spiritual thing that I had, so a career thing could be that you want to get a raise. Well, what are you going to do in order to make yourself stand out at work to get a raise? And that's where you get creative, and you get out your paper and pencil, and you start writing out all those different things that you could do. Maybe show up a little bit earlier, or tell your boss, just say, I am working hard. I'm going to get a raise, and these are the things that I'm going to do, or whatever it is that you need to do. Or maybe you're in sales and you need to sell X amount so that you are you make your money by commissions. Great. Whatever it is that you need to do, that is now added into your morning and your evening ritual, or made into an appointment in the middle of your day, so that you can get these things done. So a spiritual one would be, a meditative practice and a prayer time, and maybe reading a spiritual book or the Bible or whatever it is. You need to have that written in so that this is part of what you do. And then you put these all into your routine. So, and another one would be, again, maybe you want to develop a deeper relationship with your spouse. What does that look like? You need to do a brain dump on that and write that all out and what that looks like. And then you need to look at, what can I do? How can I add this into a morning ritual or an evening ritual, or make something happen to create that in my life? Now, we all know that, SMART goals, and you can see the SMART goal stuff that I wrote in there, which I agree with and I don't agree with at the same time. I agree with that it's a good framework and it's a good basics. It's good basics to work from. But again, we are all about changing up the way our brains operate in the first place, and understanding and becoming more conscious of what's going on, because we understand that 95% of what we're doing is just going through the motions. Isn't that frightening? But it's true. This is how we all work. So this is how we break these things down. And like I said, yeah, we need numbers and we want dates on them, right? So we're going to understand that all of this is going toward the date of being March 31st, because we're talking about January 1 through March 31st, 90 days, the first quarter of 2020. 34 pounds is what we want to do. We want to get off of, a medication or something, maybe that's your goal, or to have your doctor say, cut back on a medication, whatever. And you can write that out in a way that by, the 31st of March, I want my doctor to say to me, you need to cut back on this medication. I want my cholesterol to be in optimal ranges, or whatever. And you can do that. You can build that into, that's what it's going to be about. So you're going to make an appointment to go see your doctor and get blood tests, but somewhere in March. You're going to, in the meantime, you're going to build in this healthy diet. You're going to have the movement in place. You're going to be hydrating. You're going to be doing all these things. You're going to be talking to your body clutter buddy, staying accountable, and building it in to your morning and your evening routines. And I know that sounds simplistic, maybe, but this is exactly what it's going to take in order to achieve those big, lofty goals that you have, and that beautiful, vivid vision that you have for your life. It can work. It's just a matter of every single day chiseling away and doing a little good, healthy habit that's going to build that lifestyle in, because we're changing things out. We're taking out the stuff that we no longer want, and we're putting in the stuff that we do want. Big stuff. So, does that make sense to you? Do you have any questions about that, anybody? All right. Our rituals. We have to establish these rituals because they are the habits that we build our rituals with. These are the healthy habits that help us to craft together the life that we want. They're the bookends. The morning and the evening are the bookends of our lives. And if we start our morning out fabulously and we're just ticking it all off of our list, we're more confident, we're more motivated, and we're going to get things done. If we hold our appointments to ourselves, if we hold these appointments, we are more likely going to be more motivated, and we're going to gather momentum. It's a physics thing. We gather momentum. If you've ever hit and I know you guys have done this before, when you've knocked down a domino and just watched them all go down, this is what we're doing here. And this is how we create that kind of momentum. Sheila said, I'm happy with what I've done. I started the 1st of December feeling the benefits already. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's how it gets done. So yeah, these rituals are bookends. They're bookends for the day, and they're important. And the more we follow them and the more they're created. And if you look on the pages, I believe there's for the morning, for the rituals, it's 4 or 5 spaces. And we can piggyback stuff on there. And I've talked about that before. Like for example, when I empty the dishwasher in the morning, it's first thing I get the coffee going, and then I race to get my dishwasher emptied before the coffee's done. And then I say I can have some coffee. But I added something new in. I added in the 4-minute workout. And now I get that dishwasher emptied out. And even if the beeper goes off to say the coffee is done brewing, I have made a commitment to myself to get a 4-minute workout done in the morning. So it can beep all it wants to. I'm still going at it and doing my little soldier arms and the whole bit. I'm just still doing that because I piggybacked that particular habit onto something I was already doing. It just takes a minute. I'm right there in the kitchen. Okay, here we go. Get it out of the way. So it makes a big difference. So your launch pad is your morning, of course, right? If you have a productive morning, there goes the rest of your day, productive. But if you put it off and procrastinate and just don't do it and give yourself, time in front of the TV, well, first of all, don't turn the TV on in the morning, for heaven's sakes. Keep it off. That TV is evil. It will suck your brain right out of you. And so is social media. It can just really be a problem. If we're here to do something constructive and maybe just have a little downtime or whatever, but there are things that just suck out our time and take away the vibrancy that we want in our lives. And we justify it and just say, oh, well, we just need a minute to relax. I just need to chill for a minute. And so we're doing, Candy Crush on the phone, and then we're sucked into social media on our laptops for hours. And then, all this stuff that needs to be done with your house and everything, like nothing gets done because we're chilling and that's just crazy. And I've got a resource for you though, because there are people that, I created this. I did it for myself originally. And then I decided to invite my Take Back Your Life folks into this. And this makes a big difference. And that is a timesheet to see where you're spending your time. If you say to me, and one of the things that'll drive me nuts, I don't have time for that. I'm going to say to you, well, where are you spending your time? Because we all have time. It's just, where is that time going? So if you go to savingdinner.com/time, there is a timesheet there. And it's what I call the time block page. And with that, you can print it out. It's a PDF. You can print that out as many times as you want to. You can print it out, and then just starting at the very top, like just write out what it is that you do and take an honest look at your day to see what's going on. Because that's going to tell you where you're spending your time. And don't fool yourself, and don't pretend that chilling out with games and social media and whatever else you're doing is a productive thing. It's not. It's not. this can make you feel like you have a purpose. Absolutely, it can make you feel like you have a purpose. You're right, Cindy Lou. But your morning is your setup. Your morning sets you up, and it's part of the secret sauce for getting things going. And you do have time in the morning. You just need to get up at the right time. You do have time in the morning to set yourself up for a good day. You do have time to schedule your gym time. You do, or your workout time, or your movement time, or whatever. You do have time for all those things. You just have to make it. And you have to look at what's taking up your time and where your time is going. And this is why we use the time block sheet if you need to. Sheila says, I used to plan my time for each day in the week and work in Fly Lady routines. Good. That's helpful. So your evening routine is, what do I have here? Yeah, so if your morning routine is your launch pad for the day, your evening routine is a setup for that launch pad so that you can have that happen. And it creates a sense of accomplishment too, because as you know, here, and this is why this whole journal is set up like this, right? This whole journal right here, at the very end, you tick this off that you did your evening routine, and you have a path correction, new lessons, and do better. And this is not the place to beat yourself up. You know what it is? It's to account for your time, to account for your day, and to look back at it and say, you know what? I did really well with this, but then I kind of slid off the end here and just wasted an hour and a half on Facebook, doing whatever. And we have Facebook groups. I am not anti-Facebook, and we are on Facebook right now. But my Facebook time is pretty constructive. I had somebody say to me, well, you're on Facebook and you're doing all these things. And I said, yeah. I said, pretty much the time that I'm on Facebook, I am doing things that is constructive for groups that I'm a part of. And very little do I go in and do any kind of personal thing. I'll take a glance at it with my first morning cup of coffee just to see, if there's pictures or whatever that I need to see from friends. But there's also, but I get out of that and I have to. I go and I have work to do. I can't sit there all day long. And we have to have that sense of urgency regardless, because our time is precious. Our time is a gift. And our time needs to be used wisely. I don't care what's going on. If you have no job or whatever, you need to be accountable to your time. And there are ways to spend your time well, and there's ways where you're just wasting time. And that, to me, is like flushing money down the toilet. And it just makes me crazy. And, when we have our morning and our evening routines, you know what happens to us? We have a beginning and an end to our days. And we have a mindfulness that starts our day and a mindfulness that ends our day. And we can kind of plant, using this path correction, the new lessons, the do better, as we're going to sleep, we can be thinking about this. This is not a beat up yourself thing. This is a place where you can go and say, now how can I make that day better for tomorrow? We're never about perfect. Remember that. Never. Perfect is the other side of paradise. It's not for us here. Excellence is what we're about. And being able to live our lives day to day in a daily way that we're proud of the work that we're doing. And you don't even have to have a job, but you do have a life to live that needs to help you to do the things that you need to do. You have things that you need to do. Wasting your time is never going to be okay. It's never going to be okay. You're here to lift your life up. So having a morning and an evening ritual is going to create your bookends, and the rest is going to come together. If you're really diligent about those morning and evening things, watch how your day just magically comes together in the middle. It's amazing. Kimberly says, thanks for the time blocking sheet. What do you recommend writing at the top of the columns? I don't know what that means exactly. What do you plan to do versus what you actually do? Oh, okay. So, if you, I will have to go, let me go take a look at the time blocking sheet so I can answer that in a way that makes sense. I told you this was going to be a long time, you guys. Okay, so on the time blocking sheet, you know what this time blocking sheet is? I don't recommend you writing anything on the columns. That's not what it is. Okay, I see. This is what you are projecting, Kimberly. I get it. No, what I'm saying is I just want you to use this as a way to see how you're spending your time. Not everybody needs this, you know. I mean, obviously, if you have a full-time job or whatever. But if you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you're spending from 6 a.m. with your coffee and you're spending an hour on Candy Crush, then you need to write that down, because I want you to have a visual of where it is that your time is going. If you don't understand where your time is going, this is what the time blocking sheet is about. The rest of it, you know, you could do that if you want to with the columns. I didn't even realize there were columns in there. But I just want you, if you need this, write it out. But, you know, if let's say you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and at 6 o'clock in the morning you're stumbling around and you're trying to find something clean to wear, I want you to write it all out. Because if you don't have a good start to your day, the day's going to go south. And that's what that is all about. So I hope that makes sense. So then we start also, and when we dig into our journals and pull our journals out, we start with gratitude, because gratitude changes everything. Wayne Dyer, who I love, said this: when you change the way you see things, the things you see change, right? The things that you see change. Because appreciation and gratitude expands the borders of your heart, your mind, and your soul. You align. The gratitude is everything. Gratitude is everything. And I used to say in my Take Back Your Body group all the time, I used to say to this, you know, stop saying, you know, oh, I have to eat this or I have to eat that. Say, I get to. I get to eat. I get to drink bone broth every day. I get to have that big green salad. I get to make beautiful smoothies. I get to buy these supplements. I get to go to exercise class. I get to. Because get to versus I have to are two very different things. Get to is an appreciation, is gratitude. Get to opens everything up. And that's where we are. That's where we start. We start with that gratitude. You steer where you stare. That's a good one. I like that, Dunita. That's a really good one. And then when we use our appointments here, now, you know, I have just so that, you know, just to be clear with you guys, I use this part for appointments. I use it for my personal appointments for myself and for, you know, working out and things like that. I have a bigger planner that I use for my whole entire Saving Dinner business and for NutriCoach and everything. I have that all written out. I have a big planner for that. And I use that differently, but the same, where you're starting and you're drilling everything down so that it fits into different places. And it's pretty magnificent the way that works. So we can't be taking things for granted. We get to add gratitude in, and just 3 things. And so you'll find yourself in a place where going, oh man, I already said I was thankful for my husband and thankful for the food on the table and whatever. And you'll start to write some obscure things that you're thankful for, because your mind will be stirred up. I want you to write something new in that thing every day. 3 things that you have gratitude for. Hot water, clean water, for example, a beautiful sunset last night, or just being able to sit on the couch and hold your husband's hand while you watch CSI or something. I don't know. But just those little moments, capturing those moments of gratitude and writing about them and having that just in the forefront of your mind, it changes everything. It changes everything. Heat, yes. Heat does change everything. And my hands are frozen right now. Anyway. So without gratitude, your ship has no rudder. You can't steer the boat if you're not thankful for it, the things that you get to do. You can't. So you need to, my friend David Bear, he is a friend of mine, and he's been a mentor, and wonderful, wonderful guy, and super smart. And he said that we have to recognize that life is working for us. And I love that because it really changes things up, and it changes your perspective of what it is that you're seeing now in your life. You're not seeing how, difficult things are. You instead are seeing how wonderful things can be. Oh, there might be some difficulty over here, but when we take the emotion out of the difficulty, and we take the emotion out of like, oh, it's just too much, it's just all this, and we're acting overwhelmed by everything. And that my mother was like that. What does that do? That puts us in a corner, and it makes our life so difficult, and it makes the people around you's life difficult too, because nobody wants to listen to that. That's got to change. And this is also about a commitment to yourself. Do you see how you build this stuff all in? Do you see how you can make this stuff happen on a daily basis by being conscious, by using your brain waves, understanding what's going on with your brains and connecting all of the things with the brain waves? It's just incredible what happens. So the connection to achieving your goals is to make sure that they're aligned with your daily habits. And your daily habits are built into your rituals in the morning and in the evening, with your appointments with yourself to take care of yourself, to have some self-care wrapped into there, and handling your time at the gym as a doctor's appointment, that kind of crucialness. And this is how we get those missing pieces from that puzzle that we're trying to create of our lives. That's how we start connecting them all. This is the commitment makes it happen. The commitment to these goals and bringing them into our lives on a daily basis, written down, is what makes it happen. So we write out our intentions on a daily basis. We write down, and we have it. My intentions for today: I am powerful over carbs and garbage at the workplace. I am powerful and able to walk by the donuts at work. We had, who was it that did that? I think it was Liz. And Liz she had a picture of the candy jar, and she was just saying how she had walked by. This is how we increase that tenacity within us. And we exercise that decision muscle every single day like that. It becomes easier and easier. And the next thing we know is just like, it doesn't even bother us. You could put that whole tray of donuts right on my desk, and I'm not going to touch them because I've developed that muscle. Makes a big difference. So without a commitment to your goals, your daily habits are going to go by the wayside. Without a commitment to your daily rituals, your morning ritual and your evening ritual, it all goes by the wayside. And as we bring it into the forefront of our minds and stop automatic piloting our lives with, the garbage that we've done, we can start making a difference. And we can start putting some of this stuff on automatic pilot too. Because it's our programs, it's our programs deep in our brains that we're just, if you've ever had somebody in your life say, you'll never fill in the blank, and you've believed it all your life, well, if you create a goal and then break it down into a 90-day chunk, and then break it down into a daily ritual, and then start writing intentions about it and keeping appointments for yourself and having gratitude, and then doing a course correction at the end of the day, wow, your life's going to blow up and be extraordinary. Extraordinary. But you got to commit to it. You got to commit to it, even when it's hard. And it might get hard and not be easy. And you might have to push yourself a little bit. But I'm going to tell you that the reward at the end of it is just ridiculous. You'll have a life that's just completely unrecognizable. So we have to mind the gap. You know, if you've been to England and you've been in the tube, as they say, the subway down there, they'll say, you know, you'll hear as you're getting onto the car there, the train car or whatever, and they'll say, mind the gap. And there's a gap. There's a literal gap between where you're stepping off on the station to getting onto that car. So you have to mind the gap. So there is a big gap for a lot of us in what we should do and what we're willing to do. And connecting those so that we're able to make those things happen is why we have to bring our subconscious to the forefront. So it's also why we're doing things 12 weeks at a time instead of looking at it from the whole year perspective. So even if you have 100 pounds to lose, big deal. All right, let's say you have 150 to lose. We can still break that down into the part of a 90-day goal. You're not going to do all that weight in that 90 days, right? But you can certainly break it down into, if I were to take that over the course of a year, what is it going to look like in 90 days? If you had 200 pounds to lose, well, maybe it's going to take you 2 years. Who cares? That time's going to go by anyway. How can I break that down? How can I make this work into this 90-day period? Well, it's going to mean that I want to lose 40 pounds for this. And if I do 40 pounds over the course of 2 years, somebody do the math on that, I'll be there. You know, pretty much you will, won't you? Close, anyway. So when your goals are in shorter chunks, then clarity is a lot simpler than if they're like these big yearly things. The clarity is there. And your focus is there. They're more tangible. And you have a healthy sense of urgency that, hey, you know, if I'm going to lose this weight, if I've got a 30-pound weight loss goal for the next 90 days, super doable, by the way, then what does that look like by the week? How many pounds a week do I need to be losing? What do I need to do to make that weight loss happen? What is working for me? What is not? Am I keeping my food journal? All the things that we've talked about, bringing all that stuff in there and making it all a part of the process makes things happen. So when you are in control of your day with your morning and your evening rituals, you can control your life and take it back. So setting goals is a fluid and loose process, right? It has to be. So we can create in our mind's eye a vision for ourselves, and we can also attach too many expectations to it, too many specific expectations. But if we have in our mind's eye that we want to be healthier and that we want to do the certain things that we want to do by you know, a certain period of time, then we're going to be able to do it. But you know, I mean, we don't want to box ourselves into, like, if I don't get that raise, I want, you know, $10,000 a year raise or something, and you get a $5,000 a year raise. Well, don't box yourself in like that, and don't get too specific. Hold your goals a little bit loosely. You know, let's just say you didn't lose the 30 pounds that you wanted to lose, but you lost 25. You're going to beat yourself up for that? No, you're not. You were on track and you did the things that you needed to do, and your body just did whatever. And you know, I've seen it the other way around too, where somebody had a goal of losing 30 pounds and ended up losing 40. You're going to beat yourself up for that? Don't get attached to the exact specifics, but still make a plan. You know, make a plan and be specific as much as you can, but hold it loosely so that you're not disappointed and crushed. We need to expect everything and attach to nothing. I think that's an amazing thing. I had a girlfriend tell me that. She said, I expect everything and I attach to nothing, which means that she's allowing for the process. She's respecting the process. You've heard me say that. We flow with it instead of getting ourselves all worked up about it, because we don't need another thing to get worked up about, do we? What we need to do is flow with it. And this is how we take back our lives. This is how we create and make things happen in our lives. And this is how we course correct as well. You know, and the course correction isn't going to be 100% perfect. Nothing is going to be perfect, but you're still going to be doing things a whole lot more excellently than you did this time last year. And you're still going to be conscious of what's going on and understand that you can brain hack yourself a little bit and understand when to do that meditation, understand when to multitask on things, and understand where that creativity is coming from and where the logic and the critical thinking is coming from, and join those two things together. Because creativity demands some critical thinking too, doesn't it? It's not just one thing or the other. We're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We have to join forces. And that's what joining our subconscious with our conscious and putting those expectations out there and our goals out there and the habits that we make and our morning and evening rituals. That's how this whole thing gets created. So, and I'll give you an example of this, about keeping, making sure that you have a loose hand and high hopes with this. Because my goal originally, when way back when, my goal was, I had a goal to make a certain amount of money, because making that amount of money meant I could raise my children and feed them and not have to put them in daycare, not have to have this big disruption to our lives. This was very important to me. This was my whole goal. Like, how am I going to do this? So my thought was, I was a freelance writer at the time. I needed more assignments. I needed bigger publications, like Women's Day magazine and things like that. They paid a whole lot more than, some of the trade publications and stuff I was writing for. So that was my big thing. I was like, how do I do this? And I was studying writing. I was querying, you have to write a query to an editor and all of that. I was in all these groups, like a Yahoo group. This is way back in the day, a Yahoo group of writers, who are moms and homeschooling moms, as a matter of fact. And all of that, I was very actively involved. Like, how do I get this done? What is it that I need to do so that I can make this happen? And so my fluid goal then was to make more money so that I could support my family. My ex-husband at the time wasn't doing that, and he also wasn't paying any child support or alimony or anything like that. And I needed this money so that I could do this. And I was a little afraid, but I was also not going to have fear hold me back. I had things to do. I wasn't going to be paralyzed. I was going to be active. As I was active in doing, even though I didn't quite know what I was doing, that's when I met Marla. That's when Marla and I became friends. That's when she asked me to start writing for her. And that's when Saving Dinner was born. So I had a business that not only supported me and helped me and put one of my children through college, as a matter of fact, and did all kinds of things. It also created jobs for people so that they could meet their goals in their families as well. So my little goal became much bigger because I allowed for it. I didn't stop doing what I needed to do, but I allowed that goal to become something even better. And that's what I'm saying about this. So have a loose hand and really high hopes that your life is going to come together as you're doing these things, as you're applying yourself, as every single day you're connecting your subconscious with your conscious, and your whole life has become these little bookends of your morning and your evening ritual, and that you're keeping your appointments to yourself. All of these things will create a brand new life. There you go. That's it. Take back your life. Isn't that exciting? Don't you love that? Excuse me. I've been speaking too long. Anybody have any questions? I did an hour and a half, you guys. An hour and a half. Kimberly says, we are on the same wavelength. Just this morning in my morning meeting with the children, I told them to do this exact thing. Thanks for reminding me that I need to do it also. Yeah, we all need to do it. Okay, Sheila, thank you. Thank you so much. That was very good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Danita, thank you. Thank you. It is simple, isn't it? It is so simple. And the best things in life are that simple. And it's a breakdown, but it's also a connection. It's a connection because if we understand that we live so much in our subconscious and we bring that to the forefront and we start understanding a little bit about our brain waves and how to really capitalize on those and optimize those out, man, it all comes together. You're welcome, Joanne. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you liked it, Kimberly. All right. If you guys have any questions, then please leave them here. Leave your questions here, and I'll come back to you. But like I said, all of these slides, I read from some of them. I didn't go all the way through. And like I said, I want you to get out all of these pages and take them and break them all down. Break them all down. Now that you have them, you've got ways in which to use this stuff so that you can make this all happen, and you can write them all out. And I would love it if you would all check back in and say, I've written out I want to know that you've done this, because my goal for you is, because you all got one of these, is that you're going to write this out. You're going to write out these first 6 goals that you have. You're going to create a morning and an evening routine for yourself. You're going to figure out your appointment with yourself to exercise or some other self-care thing. And that this setup for the next 90 days, starting in January or whatever, is just unmovable. And this is your guidebook for your life for the next 90 days. And I want to see that you have big plans, and you're going to move that ball down the field. All right. Peace, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it. And I will see you hopefully tonight. It's 7 p.m. if you want to join me again. Same thing, but it'll be fun. All right. Bye-bye.